it's like I know March is my busiest month every year since I started being a full-time baseball writer, and yet it always still kind of sneaks up on me. It's like I see all the tasks I'm going to have to do. I get excited about it. I love the month of March. And then invariably, some things fall behind, including my Legends for Diamond Dynasty list, which we are back looking at today with the Cleveland Indians Ball Club. Thank you so much for watching this series. I am still committed to getting all 30 teams out before the April 20th drop date. I know April 16th is you know what? I'm going to aim for April 16th. Forget it. Let's put an extra stretch goal on there because it can be done. It can be done. Now, I will say a lot of this work was done a while ago, to be honest, the prep work as far as the teams and the players. So let's just get started with Cleveland because there's somebody that's already in the game. And yeah, I had Grady Sizemore on here. I did not edit this to make myself look better. If anything, I should have edited it to put a new player on there. Because, Cleveland fans, they've got this one. Fuzzy is super excited. But I did want to highlight him and talk a little bit about how great he was. And if you didn't get to watch him play, if you kind of only know about him from, seeing Fuzzy be really into him and, just kind of reading up on it, he was a monster. I mean, he was premium center fielder, first round fantasy pick, that kind of guy. Like not quite Trout, because no one's really Trout, but I mean that kind of five-tool center fielder type, like in that vein, like a Trout light. He and Curtis Granderson, my favorite player ever, were neck and neck there in the Central for the best center fielder and two of the best in the entire game. You see that 2006 season where he had a 907 OPS. It was a little tilted. 1,003 against righties, 718 against lefties, but 53 doubles, 28 homers, 22 stolen bases, quality defense. You got everything there in 2006. 2007 might actually be a little bit better of a card, though, depending, because it's more balanced. So you don't get those super high highs against the righties, but it doesn't come down as much against lefties because there's only a 60-point platoon split that year. And it's also a 52-point or 55-point lower OPS in total, 852, but an 872, 812 split, 24 homers, 33 stolen bases, 101 walks, big discipline there, which isn't as important, especially with check swings now being tied directly to user skill as opposed to that discipline rating playing a role as to whether or not you're going to come up good or not. Again, power speed stud, essentially averaged 30-30 from 2005 to 2008. Injuries ravaged him and basically ended his career. He still hung on a few more years, but ostensibly ended his career after 08. He was fourth in WAR from 05 to 08. That's among all players, not just outfielders. But he had just 419 games played from 2009 to 2015. So excited that Grady Sizemore is back in the game. He was my top pick for Cleveland, and I'm glad it came to fruition. Next up is Travis Hafner. Now, let me be clear, and I think I've said this on another episode of this before, and I'll probably say it again. We have the Travis Hafner player type. We have every player type in the game. Once Mantle's in there, every player type, every player prototype is covered. It's just a matter of getting the players that we like with them, the player models, the player name. So that's where Travis Hafner comes in. Is he any different than, like Poppy? I mean, he's not quite as good as Poppy, but I'm just saying, like a peak card, is it going to be that different? No, but playing with Hafner is going to be a lot of fun. He was an absolute monster for Cleveland. 2006, he put up a 176 WRC plus. That was tops in baseball with a 308, 439, 659 line, 40 homers, and 6 wins. And that's without much defensive value being thrown in there, that he was still able to put up 6 WAR. That's huge. His peak ran from 2003 to 2007, where he was a 291, 400, 556 player, averaging 36 homers, 40 doubles, and 93 walks a season. That's an amazing run there. For his career, he's 20th in WRC plus for the time that he played with a 132 mark and 22nd in walk rate. So, top 25 in two key categories that really explain offensive prowess, walk rate being able to be up there. Pitchers are afraid of you. You can take those pitches, make them work. I see diamond, gold, silver, bronze potential here, and he just feels like a BR stud, right? I mean, come on, it's that player mold where they play above the numbers because their swing or whatever, just something about the card that even if he's like a silver with really good ratings against righties but awful against lefties, Think Jock Peterson. That's the easiest one to go to. But something like that. But because the way Hafner's card is, he can still hit well lefty, and he just becomes that stud that everybody wants. So I'd love to see Hafner get in the game. Next up, this is a throwback. This is Doug Jones. Now, they've done a really good job bringing in some of the best old school relievers, and there's still some out there for sure. And I think Doug Jones is maybe one of the underrated ones. He ran a peak from 1987 to 90, where he had a 15% strikeout minus walk rate, a 136 strikeout percentage plus, which is 36% better than league average. And then the walk rate plus goes the other way, where you want a lower number. So a 62% mark is 38% better than league average. Those are fantastic marks. So you can see like a prime card or maybe even a SIG Doug Jones that would work really well. His 1992 was actually with Houston, but he had 112 innings at reliever with a 17% strikeout minus walk ratio. The 185 ERA doesn't show up on the card. Again, I just like to use that to highlight how great they were. 101 whip, 11 wins, and 36 saves. 16 years, 7 teams, 59% walk rate plus. I mean, he was 41% better than league average at stifling walks. 124 strikeout percentage plus. That was tied for 23rd. 303 saves. That was 8th during his tenure. Diamond, gold, silver, bronze potential. A lot of love there for Doug Jones across many teams. I think he'd be a fun addition. Next up, throwing it back even further, the Sam McDowell. Sudden Sam had a blazing heater back then. And, you know, we don't have radar numbers on guys in the 50s and 60s, let alone before that. A lot of guys in the 70s don't even have a radar gun on them. But he would have a blazing fastball. I mean, he got the nickname Sudden Sam because he had a great fastball. They would juice it up so that he was playable to the level of, you know, other legendary pitchers. 1965, he had a 185 strikeout percentage plus. That was good for second in the league. 182 average against, also second. 218 ERA and 136 whip. The whip ran a little high because he walked some guys, but he was difficult to hit, difficult to square up at all if he even made contact. Led baseball in strikeouts 3 times. He led the American League 2 other times, but also led baseball in walks 5 times. That's that control I'm telling you about. So we're going to have low BB9 numbers and probably some control issues on individual pitches, but a lot of heat, a lot of good hit 9 and K9 numbers. Diamond, gold, silver, bronze potential kind of runs the gamut there for Sudden Sam McDowell. He'd be a nice historical legend, too, for people to kind of learn about. You know, he's somebody that I am aware of, but even I could stand to learn more about his career. Because, you know, it's 50 years old at this point. Next up is Tris Speaker. By the way, it's much more than 50 years old. I want to be clear that I understand that 2021 to 1965 is not just 50 years. 50 plus years, I should have said. Tris Speaker, again, we just got progressively older here. Not by design, it just happened to work out like that. But Tris Speaker is one of those, you know, black and white legends, as I like to call them. They don't even have color pictures of Tris Speaker. 1916 Triple Crown when he hit 386, 470, 502 with 41 doubles, 35 stolen bases, also 27 caught. So maybe a bad stealing number, but good speed. 1923, 380, 469, 610, 59 doubles, 17 homers, which is a lot for that era, the dead ball era, and then 9 WAR. He led baseball in doubles 7 times, OBP 4 times, and he was 3rd in average with Cleveland from 1916 to 26 with a 354 mark. 3rd in average in baseball when he was with Cleveland is what I'm suggesting there, not saying that he was 3rd on Cleveland. Sorry, that's a little misleading in the note. I want to be clear that I'm speaking about the league overall there for Speaker. So he'd be like Ty Cobb-esque type of guy. I mean, that's the kind of player mold that you can think of when you first think of Tris Speaker. So something like that. And again, it's uber historical legend for people to really learn. And I think that's one of the fun parts about these legends. You know, we all want the guys that we grew up with, the 90s, 2000s era guys, but these older school guys can be a lot of fun to kind of get on their Fangraphs, get on their baseball reference page, read up on them, and kind of learn more about what made them great. Plus, some of them end up being amazing cards, and you want to know more about the player. Last one here, flipping it all the way back to the present. It's now legend time for CC Sabathia. I don't know when we're going to get him, but the sooner the better. I know there's kind of this idea in the community that's like a 5-year waiting period, like it's the Hall of Fame. There is nothing that proves that to be true. I don't think there's any inherent waiting period. At least that's what I've been told by SDS, that like they have to wait a specific number of years. There may just be a cycle to where things kind of settle, and then 2-3 years down the road is when talks open, and who knows. Again, I hope that they can start to speed some of these guys through that we've lost recently to retirement, like Sabathia, Ichiro, Curtis Granderson for me now, Chase Utley. Who else? I was thinking of another really good one. Jeez, I said Ichiro. Carlos Beltran and Adrian Beltre. But both those guys I'd love to see in there too. But anyway, back to Sabathia. We know how great he was. We were just using his legend cards as recently as this year, and he's put up some good ones. But 2007 Cy Young season, 3.21 ERA, 114 WHIP, 18% strikeout minus walk rate, and a 126 strikeout percentage plus. Excuse me. He's excellent Milwaukee and New York seasons as well that you can get great cards from. 7 straight seasons of 200 plus innings. Diamond, gold, silver, bronze potential. We've seen him run the gamut we've seen them run the gamut with his cards before when he was just a flashback. Now they come into legend status, can definitely get all 4 cards out of him again. So there it is. There's the Cleveland Indians. In a nutshell, there's 6 guys spanning, basically an entire century of time there. But they have plenty more on tap. It's a storied program like it's a college football. It's a storied franchise with a lot of interesting players. Some that we've gotten in the game. I didn't mention a guy like Albert Bell because we had him. We lost him a year later. He was also arrested for public indecency in that year. I wonder if those two things link. Be great to get him back in just because he was a player that I enjoyed watching a lot because he was. Look up Albert Bell if you aren't familiar with him. He was a bad boy of his time, surly dude, kind of out there. Definitely had some bad behavior, but was an absolute monster at the dish. Was a hulking beast. I sucked with him the year we did have him. I understand why they kind of moved away from someone gets arrested. You just kind of want to move on from that. I understand that it's different when the player's playing versus when they're a legend. When they're playing, they're still under the union. I don't want to get into all that, but I'm sure you guys are thinking of examples where they didn't take a guy's card out when it's like he just did something very heinous, but you took it out for this guy. Playing versus not is a distinction there. But anyway, Bell, would love to see him back in, but it might be a few years down the road. Stay clean, keep his act clean for a while, or maybe that bridge is burned. But there's plenty of other guys. So leave your favorite Cleveland legends that I didn't get to in the comments below. I'd love to see them. I think there are a lot of fun players there. Left some meat on the bone for y'all. And I'm going to have a double dip with my beloved Detroit Tigers. That's right, 12 legends coming with the Tigers. So if you want to have a comment for the Tigers video when that comes out, you better dig deep in your Rolodex because I'm coming correct with my boys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.